Gold is a name to charm by. It is desired by all nations, and is the one metal the supply of which never exceeds the demand. Someone has aptly said, gold is the most potent substance on the surface of our planet. Tom Hood sings, gold, 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 bright and yellow, hard and cold, molten, graven, hammered, rolled, heavy to get and light to hold, stolen, borrowed, squandered, doled. That this much appreciated metal is heavy to get is proved by the high value which has been placed on it from times remote to date, and that it is the light to hold most of us know to our cost. We read no farther than the second chapter in the Bible when we find mention of gold. There Moses speaks of the land of Havilah, where there is gold. And in Genesis chapter 24, we read that Abraham's servant gave Rebekah an earring of half a shekel weight, say 5 penny weight and 13 grains, and 2 bracelets of 10 shekels weight, or about 4.5 ounces. And throughout the scriptures, and indeed in all historic writings, we find frequent mention of the king of metals, and always it is spoken of as a commodity highly prized. I have sometimes thought, however, that either we are mistaken in the weights used by the Hebrew nation in early days, or that the arithmetic of those times was not quite according to Cocker. We read 1 Kings 10 and 41 that Solomon in 1 year received no less than 666 talents of gold. If a talent of gold was, as has been assumed, 3,000 shekels of 219 grains each, the value of the golden treasure accumulated in this 1 year by the Hebrew king would have been 3,646,350 pounds sterling. Considering that the only means of getting gold in those days was a most primitive mode of washing it from river sands, or a still more difficult and laborious process of breaking the quartz from the lobe without proper tools or explosives, and then slowly grinding it by hand labor between 2 stones, the amount mentioned is truly enormous. Of this treasure, the Queen of Sheba, who came to visit the Hebrew monarch, contributed 120 talents, or say 600,000 pounds worth. Where the land of Ophir, whence this golden lady came, was really situated has evoked much controversy, but there is now a general opinion that Ophir was on the east coast of Africa, somewhere near Delagoa Bay, in the neighborhood of the Limpopo and Sabia rivers. It should be mentioned that the name of the black but comely queen was Sabia, which may or may not be a coincidence, but it is certainly true that the rivers in this district have produced gold from prehistoric times till now. The discovery of remarkable ruins in the newly acquired province of Mashonaland, which evince a high state of civilization in the builders, may throw some light on this interesting subject. The principal value of gold is as a medium of exchange, and its high appreciation is due first to the fact that it is an almost universal request, and secondly to its comparative scarcity. Yet oddly enough, with the exception of that humble but serviceable metal iron, gold is the most widely distributed metal known. Few, if any, countries do not possess it, and in most parts of the world, civilized and uncivilized, it is mined for and brought to market. The torrid, temperate, and frigid zones are almost equally auriferous. Siberia, mid-Asia, most parts of Europe, down to equatorial and southern Africa in the Old World, and North, Central, and Southern America, with Australasia in what may be termed the New World, are all producers of gold in payable quantities. In the earlier ages, the principal source of the precious metal was probably Africa, which has always been prolific in gold. To this day, there are to be seen in the southern provinces of Egypt excavations and the remains of old mine buildings and appliances left by the ancient gold miners, who were mostly state prisoners. Some of these mines were worked by the pharaohs of and before the time of Moses, and in these dreadful places thousands of Israelites were driven to death by the taskmaster's whip. Amongst the old appliances is one which approximated very closely to the amalgamating or blanket table of a modern quartz mill. The grinding was done between 2 stones and possibly by means of such primitive mechanism as is used today by the natives of Korea. The Korean mill is simply a large hard stone to which a rocking motion is given by manual power by means of the bamboo handles while the ore is crushed between the upper and basement stone. Solomon says, "There is no new thing under the sun. Certainly there is much that is not absolutely new in appliances for gold extraction." I lately learned that the principle of one of our newest concentrating machines, the Vanner, was known in India and the East centuries ago, and we have it on good authority, that of Pliny, that gold saving by amalgamation with mercury was practiced before the Christian era. It will not be surprising then if, ere long, someone claims to have invented the Cambrian mill with improvements. Few subjects in mineralogical science have evoked more controversy than the origin of gold. In the Middle Ages, and indeed down to the time of that great philosopher Sir Isaac Newton, who was himself bitten with the craze, it is widely believed that, by what was known as transmutation, the baser metals might be changed to gold, and much time and trouble were expended in attempts to make gold, needless to say, without the desired result. Doubtless, however, many valuable additions to chemical science and also some useful metallic alloys were thus discovered. The latest startling statement on the subject comes from, of course, the wonderland of the world, America. In a recently published journal, it is said that a scientific metallurgist there has succeeded in producing absolutely pure gold, which stands all tests from silver. Needless to say, if this were true, at all events, the much vexed high metallic question would be solved at once for all time. It is now admitted by all specialists that the royal metal, though differing in material respects in its mode of occurrence from its useful but more plebeian brethren of the mineral kingdom, has yet been deposited under similar conditions from mineral salts held in solution. The first mode of obtaining this much desired metal was doubtless by washing the sand of rivers which flowed through auriferous strata. Some of these, such as the Lydian stream Pactolus, were supposed to renew their golden stores miraculously each year. What really happened was that the winter floods detached portions of auriferous drift from the banks, which, being disintegrated by the rush and flow of the water, would naturally deposit in the still reaches and eddies any gold that might be contained therein. The mode of washing was exactly that carried on by the natives in some districts of Africa today. A wooden bowl was partially filled with auriferous sand and mud, and standing knee-deep in the stream, the operator added a little water, and caused the contents of the bowl to take a circular motion, somewhat as the modern digger does with his tin dish, with this difference, that the ancient prototype allowed the water and lighter particles to escape over the rim as he swirled the stuff round and round. I presume in finishing the operation he collected the golden grains by gently lapping the water over the reduced material, much as we do now. I have already spoken of the mode in which the auriferous lodestuff was treated in early times, example by grinding between stones. This is also practiced in Africa today, and we have seen that the Koreans with Mongolian acuteness have gone a step further and pulverized the quartz by rocking one stone on another. In South America, the arrastra is still used, which is simply the application of horse or mule power to the stone grinding process with use of mercury.